Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of AACRAO's Credential Chats. We are joined this week by Dr. Seth Kamen. He is the State Director of Transfer, Learning Recognition, and Credential Alignment for the Division of Programs and Student Services in the North Carolina Community Colleges System. Seth, that was a mouthful. Sorry, I had to actually read it out there, but thank you so much
I
for
still do
joining us.
also.
Seth, let's just jump right in because I have a feeling we are going to be so pressed for time with all the stuff that I want to ask you about. But just starting now, like that's a cool job title.
Yes.
Like I'm kind of real. I think I met you in person almost 2 years ago. I was really excited about it. But and what does that job title mean to you? And like when you think about what do you think it's important about the role that other people need to understand?
Yeah, so I actually was hired as the state director of credit mobility, which was a new position at the system office. And it was a great term. They had great vision for it, but it wasn't enough. It was very limiting in scope. So after about 6 months of being here, I proposed this adjustment to the title. First of all, I assumed responsibility for all of our transfer programs and all of our general education curriculum with some exception in there. So that transfer had to come in to the title as well. But then I redesigned the position and I redesigned the title around the learner mobility framework that was released by AACRAO and others, that has five general areas in it. And those are represented in my title. So basically, what I did was how do I figure out how do I be accountable for learning mobility from the time the student thinks about what they want to do and all the credit they've earned up to that point, how it aligns to the degree program that they are interested in receiving, whether it's an associate's, a certificate, a non-credential, et cetera. And then if they want to and when they want to, how does that transfer on to the four-year institution? So really the full range of it, ensuring that the student gets the credit no matter where they earned it, and that that credit actually applies towards the credential that they want for workforce mobility.
Um, that was awesome. You've got me, and I might have goosebumps right now. Like, but and I think it's. I just want to kind of pause there because, and just in the way you were talking about that, your background in enrollment management just so shines through in the kind of thinking you're bringing to that. And so, like, I kind of want a chance to just sort of, at the risk of having you just repeat some of what you just said, you very intentionally, I think, are talking using the word mobility. And so, like, when you like to talk more about just sort of the strategy and just when you're going into the phrase learning mobility, versus what would the familiar term of transfer. And just kind of dig a little bit more into that, and whether it's through the, lens of that framework or not. So please say more about that.
Yeah, so we've been talking about transfer for years. I've been doing transfer for 20 plus years as the primary function of most of my jobs. And when we think about transfer, we think about lateral from the community college to the four-year institution. But nowadays, we have such a diverse group of students attending our colleges, interested in joining our colleges and our universities, or who don't even know that they should be joining our universities and colleges. So we when we talk about that mobility, it's got to be that we are bringing our stuff down to them. We're being mobile down into them. But then the learning that they have accumulated, the learning that they're going to accumulate, goes along with them. It doesn't stop at any artificial milestone or artificial barrier that we put in place or that we have as this preconceived notion that's going to be their endpoint. So no matter how they come into the system, no matter how they want to go out of the system, we're going to make sure that whatever they have learned is going along with them. And again, is applying to what it is that they're trying to do. So really, the mobility is the key word in all of this. It's that we've got to be more flexible in giving credit and moving credit around the higher education and workforce systems.
Do you know, and this is going to be a rare moment for me on AACRAO's Credential Chat, Seth, of being like, hold on, I'm going to put your feet to the fire on that one, but I think you're going to be ready for this. Because some of it, and like you said, we've been talking about some of these things for a long time, like this notion of LERs and micro-credentials, like, well, there's certain things that are new vocabulary, but the concepts, some of them are age-old in some ways. And so, what is new? I mean, I hear you talking about just ecosystem stuff. And so, like, thinking about what you just described about how we need to meet people where they are and not think about these endpoints based off of, what's in a course catalog, but where an individual is today and where they might need to, be in the future, whether that's coming, going, re-entering. Like, can you give us a specific example? Like, take just a user named Seth, and like, what's a concrete example of what that might look like when your vision is successfully, manifested?
Sure. I'm going to use an example that's kind of probably close to a lot of people's hearts, which is, let's say that I was in the military for the last 20 years. I have a pretty lengthy JST, and as part of that, I also went ahead and took three CLEP exams and two DSST exams, and I have all this stuff, all this learning, and now I'm interested in going to the community college here in North Carolina. So for starters, I want to know how much of that credit is going to apply towards the degree, how much longer I have until I earn that degree. How can I maximize either the TA money that I've got or the post-transition GI Bill, et cetera, money that I'm going to be using so that I can go and do what I want. But I want to use all of that and go into a degree program that's actually going to get me a job that's going to support my family because I've got a spouse and three kids, and moving through that. So when I think of all of this, I think of me as a student who says, I want to take as much as I've earned. I want credit for what I know. I can teach the course you're asking me to retake because I've been doing this for 20 years. Take it, and how do I next go to the next chapter? But an associate's degree is not enough. I'm going to go back, take that associate's degree. I can get an AAS in information technology. I want to go work for a couple more years just to get more hands-on experience. And then 3 years from now, I want to enroll in a bachelor's program. And again, I want all of that learning, all of the experience I have, both in the military, at the community college, and that I just learned for 3 years in the job, including the five new certifications that I earned, and get credit for all of that and complete a degree program still within the parameters of the money I have left in my GI Bill. And when I'm done, I want a job that's going to be able to provide for my family. And making all of that happen and making it as seamless and easy and work for the student is where my job, my role, and the state of North Carolina is trying to just make it a smooth and easy process.
And like just a quick follow-up on that, you like money came up multiple times there.
Hmm.
There's some people, I think, in, post-secondary education who are going to hear, coupon, coupon, coupon throughout that. Like where from, your seat do you say like it sounds like that's not your lens at all, that for you it's more about this is our responsibility to that learner, not this is not about coupons and discounts.
Yeah, if we simply focus on financials, especially in this situation, we're never going to do what's best for the student. And ultimately, in higher education or any type of education, we should be making sure that we are making the student the center of our lens. There is data out there from Witchy and Kale and others that says if you give credit for prior learning, the student is more likely to take more credits with you and graduate from your institution. The data also says that if you are transparent about the credit you're going to award, the student is more likely to enroll at your institution. So the question now becomes, yeah, you're going to give away three, four, five, six credits or courses or whatever it might end up being, but in the long run, you're going to gain the FTE from having a graduate and the dollars that you earned in making them take another 15 credits as part of their degree program. So in the end, the price of discounting, couponing, giving away those credits, and for those in the audience, I'm using air quotes around that, is much smaller than the benefit of actually having a student enroll, complete a program, and then perhaps what we really always forget about is they then become an alum and they become an advocate for your institution. They become somebody who goes out and says, I had this experience at this college. You need to go there. And then ultimately, because we have educated them so well and they become millionaires, they like to give us money. So it does come back to the money, but it's the long game, long range plan in this one. We're playing the long game here.
And that's the second time in 72 hours that someone has referenced the Kale research about the long-term benefits actually to
Hmm.
what you talk about. And I do really think that's fascinating, that sort of enrollment management lens, and but also uh, 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 alumni and development office lens, right? Of 0% of our dropouts are going to be donating later, right? Whereas,
Exactly.
if we are increasing the number of our alumni, we maybe are also increasing our giving of our learners. I think we have time for one last question. So much about this learning mobility that you've talked about, and credit for prior learning, is about transparency, which at the end of the day also comes around to, you know, this awareness of what a credential is credentialing. And part of that ability to award credit for prior learning is the ability to be able to connect what's inside of this prior learning and how does that relate to this, learning outcomes of what we're already offering. And so from the lens of, people in it, enrollment management, offices of registrar, like how important do you see in the North Carolina, in your role at the North Carolina Community College system of just folks in sort of AACRAO kind of adjacent roles of having just to see at the table and being leaders in this?
Yeah, so we involve faculty in the evaluation of the coursework, ultimately of the credential and into the coursework. Ultimately, they are the subject matter experts. But you can't stop at just the evaluation. You have to understand the processes of now taking that evaluation and entering it into your ERP, into your SIS, and then translating it onto a transcript. How do you code it? What are the questions about grades and the transferability? And as we work into Workforce Pell, it's even more important now about grading continuing education work. Um, and then you think about the additional workload of all of these students who are suddenly coming in with these credits that have to be evaluated in a timely manner, et cetera. So it's really important for that enrollment management lens to be at the table because they're the ones that actually have to implement it. And if we can do all the evaluation we want, but we actually have to make it transparent for the student, get it on the student record. You bring admissions in, and how does it become a recruitment tool or a conversion tool, and all you've got here. So it's really important that enrollment management is at that table, not necessarily for the evaluation itself, but for everything that happens before and after that evaluation.
I mean, wow. I think that myself included, I think a lot of folks are going to need to watch this episode twice, just back to back, in order to digest all the GS you've shared with us. Seth Kamen, North Carolina Community College System. Thank you so much for joining us this week on Credential Chats.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you, viewers, for the va valuable currency of your time and engagement and sharing it with us here on Credential Chats. Until next episode, have a badge-worthy week, everybody. So long.